Hello everyone, welcome to this seminar on green chemistry and principles, designing a chemical synthesis using these principles. This is presented by me, Dipankar De. Before going to the details, I want to show the content of my topic. These are follows. At first, I want to give brief introduction on the topic. We know chemistry is a very important part of our daily lives. All living and inanimate matter is made up of chemicals, and virtually every manufactured product involves the use of chemicals. Many chemicals can, when properly used, significantly contribute to the improvement of our quality of life, health, and well-being. But many chemicals are highly hazardous and can negatively affect our health and environment, which results in the need for greener chemicals. So, green chemistry is pollution prevention on the molecular scale and is an extremely important area of chemistry due to the importance of chemistry in our world today. The concept of green chemistry was formally established at the Environment Protection Agency in response to the Pollution Prevention Act of 1990. Next one. This concept was originated by Trevor Kletzg in his 1978 paper where he proposed that chemists should seek processes for environment. Paul T. Anastas, for the first time in 1991, coined the term green chemistry. Paul T. Anastas is called the father of green chemistry. Definition: the invention, design, and application of chemical products and processes to reduce or to eliminate the use and generation of hazardous substances. Or green chemistry is the utilization of set of principles that reduce or eliminates the use of generation of hazardous substances in the designs, manufacture, and application of chemical products. Next one. Green chemistry is about waste minimization at source, use of catalyst in place of reagents, using non-toxic reagents, use of renewable resources, improve atom efficiency, use of solvent-free or recyclable environmentally benign solvent systems. Why do we need green chemistry? We know chemistry is a very prominent part of our daily lives. Chemistry has improved our quality of life and made thousands of products possible. Chemical developments also bring new environmental problems and harmful unexpected side effects, which results in the need for greener chemical products. Green chemistry is a highly effective approach to pollution prevention because it applies innovative scientific solutions to real-world environmental situations. The Green Chemistry Program supports the invention of more environmentally friendly chemical processes which reduce or even eliminate the generation of hazardous substances. This program works very closely with the 12 principles of green chemistry. Next one. Principles of green chemistry. Paul T. Anastas and John C. Warner in their book Green Chemistry: The Theory and Practice, Oxford University Press, New York, 1998, present a green chemistry philosophy which is commented that it has been driven by new knowledge. There are 12 principles of green chemistry toward ideal synthetic methods to save natural resources. The 12 principles of green chemistry: prevent waste, maximize atom economy, less hazardous chemical synthesis, safer chemical and products, avoid chemical derivatives, use renewable feedstock, increase energy efficiency, safer solvent and reaction conditions, use catalysts, design chemical and products to degrade after use, analyze in real time to prevent pollution, minimize potential for accidents. Next one. Number 1, prevention of waste. It is better to prevent waste than to treat or clean up waste after it has been created. This based on the concept of stop the pollutant at the source. We should carry out a synthesis in such a way that the waste products is minimum or absent. The waste discharged in the environment causes pollution. Number 2, atom economy. Synthetic methods should be designed to maximize the incorporation of all materials used in the process into the final products. Atom economy or atom efficiency is the conversion efficiency of a chemical process in terms of all atoms involved and the desired products produced. Atom economy is an important concept of green chemistry philosophy and one of the most widely used metrics for measuring the greenness of a process of synthesis. So, percent atom economy is equal to molar mass of products by molar mass of all reactants into 100%. Reactions are 100% economical reaction if all the reactants are incorporated into products. For example, in the above reaction, these are the step-by-step reaction, and this the overall reactions atom economy 44%, but this reaction by the direct oxidation method, in this case the atom economy is 76% and it is a very good atom economy. And synthesis of ibuprofen. The Boots Company synthesis of ibuprofen is a 6-step process and large quantities of unwanted waste chemical byproducts that must be disposed of. There is 40% atom economy in this synthesis. Next one. And another pathway, the BHC synthesis of ibuprofen, is only small amount of unwanted products and has very good atom economy is 77%. Number 3, less hazardous chemical synthesis. Wherever practicable, synthetic methods should be designed to use and generate substances that possess little or no toxicity to human health and the environment. For example, in this reaction, polycarbonate synthesis by Forging process, it uses the poisonous material forging, and it uses the non-renewable poisonous CH2Cl2, that is dichloromethane solvent, which is a difficult to separate from product. But in the polycarbonate synthesis by solid state process avoids use of poisonous starting material, and in this process no use of forging and dichloromethane, and it gives the high quality polymer. Next one, number 4, design safer chemicals. Chemical products should be designed to effect their desired function while minimizing toxicity. Use of auxiliary substances, for example solvents, separation agents, etc., should be made unnecessary wherever possible and innocuous when used. For example, in the manufacturing process of polystyrene, which contributes to the ozone depletion replaced by carbon dioxide. The use of antifoulant. Antifoulants are generally dispersed in their paint. It is applied to the hull. Organotin compounds have traditionally been used, particularly tributyl tin oxide, that is TBTO. But the TBTO chronically toxic to marine life and enter the food chain and are bioaccumulative. But later, one of the most significant advancement in the area of antifoulants has been made by the Röhm and Haas company with the development of C9R211. C9R211 won a prestigious Presidential Green Chemistry Challenge Award in 1996 in the category the design of chemicals which are less toxic than current alternatives. The active ingredient in C9R211 is 4,5-dichloro-2N-octyl 4-isothiazolene 3-on, that is DCOI. And this compound reduces fuel consumptions and less toxicity. Next one. Number 5, safer solvents and auxiliaries. Solvents and separating agents should not be used whenever possible. If their use cannot be avoided, they should be used as mildly and innocuously. For example, a safer methods of dry cleaning. Perchloroethylene, that is PERC, is the solvent most widely used in the dry cleaning clothing. PRC, that is PARC, is suspected of causing cancer and its disposal can contaminate groundwater. but liquid carbon dioxide can be used as a safer solvent if a wetting agent is used to dissolve grease. This method is now being used commercially by some dry cleaners. Next one. Number 6. Design for energy efficiency. Energy requirements of chemical processes should be recognized for their environmental and economic impacts and should be minimized. If possible, synthetic methods should be conducted at ambient temperature and pressures. If any chemical synthesis, the energy requirement should be kept low. For example, number 1, if the starting materials is soluble in the particular solvent, the reaction mixture has to be heated till the reaction is complete. Number 2, if the final product is impure, it has to be purified by distillation or recrystallization. All their steps involves the use of high amount of energy which is uneconomical. Number 7. Use of renewable feedstocks. A raw material or feedstock should be renewable rather than depleting whenever technically and economically practicable. Next one. Renewable feedstocks are often made from agricultural products or are the wastes of other processes. Depleting feedstocks are made from fossil fuels, that is petroleum, natural gas or coal, or are mined. For examples, number 1, substances like carbon dioxide generated from natural sources. Number 2, methane gas are considered as renewable starting materials. Number 3, the biggest impact of green fuel technology will almost certainly come from bioethanol as a gasoline replacement. Current US production is around 4 billion gasoline per annum, mostly from corn. Next one. Number 4, levulinic acid is important example, which can be produced from the paper mill / agriculture residues, waste products, or municipal solid waste and waste paper, and the various chemicals is produced from this levulinic acid. Number 8, reduce derivatives. Unnecessary derivatization, use of blocking groups, protection or deep protection, temporary modification of physical or chemical process should be minimized or avoided if possible, because such steps requires additional reagents and can generate wastes. More derivatives involves, that is, additional reagents, generate more wasted products, more time, higher cost of products, hence it requires to reduce derivatives. Next one. Number 9, catalysts. Catalytic reagents, as selective as possible, are superior to stoichiometric reagents. For example, reduction of a ketone to the corresponding secondary alcohol using sodium borohydrate or molecular hydrogen as the reductant. In the stoichiometric reactions, the atom economy is 81%, but in the catalytic reaction using palladium and catalyst, the atom economy is 100%. Next one. Number 10, design for degradation. Chemical products should be designed so that at the end of their function they break down into innocuous degradation products and do not persist in the environment. Number 11. Real-time analysis for pollution prevention. Analytical methodologies need to be further developed to allow for real-time in-process monitoring and control prior to the formation of hazardous substances. But in this case, what is the real-time analysis? The real-time analysis is defined as the ability to monitor a transformation and act immediately upon it to prevent unwanted outcomes, byproducts formation and to save energy. It is the goal of green analytical chemistry to measure chemicals without generating waste. Analytical procedure must be safer to human health and the environment. Next one. Number 12. Inherently safer chemistry for accident prevention. Firstly, what is the safety? The safety can be defined as the control of recognized hazards to achieve to acceptable level of risk. This is also known as the safety principle. Substances and the form of a substances used in the chemical process should be chosen to minimize the potential for chemical accidents, including relaxes, expansion and fires. That is various industrial accidents, for example Bhopal gas tragedy. In December 3, 1984, poison gas methyl isocyanate leaked from a Union Carbide Limited, that is UCIL, pesticides plant in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, in India. In this gas tragedy, up to 10,000 deaths in first 3 days and additional 25,000 people died of related injuries by 1994. Bhopal tragedy, a lesson in inherent safe design. In this case, the Union Carbide India Limited, the limited process the poisonous methyl isocyanate is used, but in the alternative route the poisonous methyl isocyanate is not used and it is avoided. So this alternative route is the safe route and it is the greener route. Application of green chemistry. Nowadays, green chemistry is applied in various fields. Green chemistry is used in agricultural field, making biopesticide, dry cleaning of clothes, energy from winery waste, green plastic formation, diesel from fungus, making biofuels from human waste, etc. Next one. Conclusion. Green chemistry is a new philosophical approach that through application and extension of the principles of green chemistry can contribute to sustainable development. That is, green chemistry not a solution to all environmental problems, but the most fundamental approach to the preventing pollution. I hope from these books. These are Green Chemistry, Designing Chemistry for the Environment, Paul T. Anastas and Tracy C. Williamson, American Chemical Society, DC 1996. Number 2, Handbook of Green Chemistry and Technology, James Clark and Duncan McCurry, Blackwell Publishing. Number 3, Google, Internet, Wikipedia, etc. Acknowledgement. I would like to express my special gratitude and thanks to my respected professors, Dr. Babli Roy, for her kind cooperation and encouragement which helped me in completion of this seminar. So finally, we know green chemistry is the preventing pollution and sustaining the earth. So let us come together to make our planet greener and healthier. Finally, thank you so much.